All right. It's Friday again. We're in the new year, and I have a very interesting guest, a different kind of guest than we've had so far to date since we did the podcast. We have a business banker, which I thought bringing a business banker on was good for the market. I mean, the people that are watching this podcast and listening to this podcast are business owners, more likely business owners than not. So I thought to reach out to our friend at TD Bank, Tyler Griffin. Thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely. Pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about it. You've been in the game for about 10 years, right?
Yes.
And tell us the day in the life of the business banker, what he does, how he finds customers, how he services customers, and how business owners that are watching this podcast and that have been on the podcast can utilize your services, because you have some pretty easy loans and different things to finance small businesses or buying a business. Mm-hmm. I know when we were looking at buying a business, I was with my financial guy, and we called you one afternoon real quick to ask some quick questions on, some financing. The deal didn't happen as of yet, but we're starting to align on, we have some NDAs out ourselves to different businesses to purchase. So, that's why, I thought it was good timing for you as we start the new year. I hope you had a great holidays. And,
Likewise.
As everyone's starting to think about 2024 and what that means to their business. So fire away.
Sure. So I think, so again, I hope you had a happy holidays, happy new year to everyone.
Great.
So I think what the listeners should know about what a business banker does is that, first, I want to dispel the belief that banks are against people, because a lot of people have a feeling sometimes that they have a negative aura around banks. And I want people to know that as a business banker, we're truly, my job is to serve. My job is to help people live their life, help them with their money, help them get to that next level as a business banker. Mm-hmm. That's my job. And when someone wants to either buy a business, they want to grow their small business, that's my only job, is to make sure that they succeed. Mm-hmm. My only job. And if I don't help them, then I failed. Mm-hmm. So as a business banker, my typical day-to-day is, first and foremost, getting calls from some regular clients, of course. Tyler, how's my balance doing? Mm-hmm. We have a few of those. And then there's so much more, though, because I do lending. I also do retirement planning. So sometimes I have some retirees that are calling me, hey, Tyler, how's my portfolio? Mm-hmm. I have, a team of wealth managers that work alongside me as well that, help people with estate planning, that help people with retirement planning, that help people with trust planning. So there's a lot of different things that go in under the umbrella that I help consult with, in addition to my day-to-day, things that I do.
That's great to know that. I don't think I knew that your bank did all those services. So that's pretty great to know that, I think as a small business owner, you're running in so many different places. You need a person, a team of people to help, kind of do that. And Absolutely. I know that when we, again, as we've grown, our business, we didn't have a guy who did 401ks because we didn't offer them. Now we have someone that handles the 401k for the company. And again, when a new company comes on, a new person comes on board at the company, one of the first calls, introductions we make after they get their handbook signed and everything like that is, here's the name of our, company that handles this. So if you want to get that set up, I think it's just nice, especially in a local small business, not everybody offers that kind of service. So it's nice that when you do have somebody come on, that they know that it's available to them. And mm-hmm. It's great that you're offering that service as well. Mm-hmm. Because again, once the person secures money through you, opens their business or buys a business and takes over business, then you have that account to, help them with all those kind of things.
Absolutely. There's a lot of planning that people forego because they either don't know what's available, they don't know how to approach it, but a lot of time they just simply don't think about it, right? It's a lot of time people don't think about what's next after the business. Yeah. They just get so wrapped up in today, and it happens, and today's very, everything moves so fast.
It is, and you need a team of people, because as a business owner, I could tell you there's things that you just don't think about. Like it's not that you don't want to think about them, it's not that you don't want to do it. It's just mm-hmm. you're running the business, and you're in. And a lot of small business owners, and I know you can validate this, are in the business. They're not sitting with a board of directors, or they're sitting in some office that are just looking at spreadsheets all day long.
Right.
I think half people would say, well, that would be a great way to get to. And then there's also a bunch of guys that have never want to look at a spreadsheet in their life. But, ultimately, a lot of guys are in their businesses, especially in the small business community. Again, the community that I serve, I think this community that you serve, where we're dealing with very similar and like customers and what they do.
Absolutely. And to add on to what I was just saying, so in addition to helping people strategically plan, for their business, we also do acquisitions. So we do help people that are working a 9 to 5, just that want to get to that next point in their life, and we could help them buy a business. And a lot of people don't know that all you need is 10% down to buy a business. So let's say, for example, you have a business that's for sale for, let's say $1 million.
Okay.
All you need is $100,000 to buy that business, and you could probably make that money back in your first, maybe your second year.
So let's touch upon that. So a business is up for sale for $1 million. They come to you and they say, Tyler, I want to buy this business for $1 million. You say, okay, well, you need 10% down. That's $100,000. They have proof of funds that they have the $100,000 for you. Where are you getting? How do they finance the $900,000?
So basically, what we look at is a debt service coverage ratio. So what we calculate there is, for the business, we're looking at the net profit. Basically, we're looking at how much money does the business have available to pay a loan. So ideally, what you're looking at is 3 years of tax returns for the business from the seller. And you also want to get year-to-date financial statements as well. So after spreading the 3 years of tax returns, you're going to have a historical analysis of how that business is performing over the last 3 years, which is especially important because we're just coming out of a pandemic now. So people listening to this today should really make sure that they get 3 years of tax returns, because you want to see how the business has been performing since COVID. And
so the 21 return is a good return as the first one, 22 and then 23.
Yep.
And then the 24-month year-to-date financials.
Yep.
Now, 21 was still a weird year for some businesses.
It was. Yeah, we started seeing some businesses start to recover in 2020, early 2020, but some definitely took until like the end of 2021 to really be able to recover.
All right, and then so now you're looking at a debt service number of that net profit, so to be able to service the loan, so that on that $1 million buy, $100,000 down, they're going to take a $900,000 loan from you, but part of that's through the SBA, right?
So what the SBA does, and so the bank is still the lender. So we're still making the lending decision, whether it's approved, declined. We're still making the loan ourselves.
Okay.
The SBA comes in and they guarantee our loan. So what they say is, the SBA basically backs up the loan. They're not actually the lender in the situation. We're still the one giving our money. It's the SBA guarantee that enables us to be able to make those types of deals, because it takes risk off of our plate, and for that purpose, we're more incentivized to be able to provide those riskier loans.
And that's interesting. I don't know that everybody knows that, because I didn't know that until you kind of told me about it. But so they give you the 3 years, they give you the year to date. Then what's the turnaround process for a lot of these people that you're securing loans for?
Typically 30 to 60 days. So it depends if there's real estate involved, not real estate, because then we'll have to order an appraisal. That takes a little bit of time. We have to order a business valuation, so that comes from a third party as well. That takes about 2 to 3 weeks. So overall, we can get a credit application, though, submitted and decisioned typically within 5 to 7 business days, and we can have a decision whether it's approved or declined.
Cool. That's really cool. So I think a lot of people don't maybe know that that's a possibility, to be able to go into a business and be able to do that. I think a lot of owners of businesses don't want to really do seller financing, because like once they're done, and I think a lot of people, are emotionally attached to it and they just kind of want to separate from it.
Absolutely. And in a lot of cases, just to touch on your point about seller financing, so there is something called a standby seller's note.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say someone doesn't have the full 10% down. Maybe, in that example earlier, maybe they only have $50,000 instead of $100,000. That seller can provide a seller financing note for the other $50,000. So it still adheres to our 10% down because, we're only coming out of our pocket for the 90%. And then that seller's note is subordinated to the bank and it's on standby. So what standby means is, the seller wouldn't be able to collect their payment until our loan is repaid. However, that is an example of a way that someone who doesn't maybe have that full 10% could be able to achieve still purchasing the business.
Wow, that's good to know. And now, the boomers are retiring at a very rapid pace. I think that they're saying 10,000 businesses are up for sale or closing every day now. Is that a stat you know?
So we saw, just myself personally, and what I did last year, I personally did over 30 business acquisitions, all in New Jersey. And these business acquisitions are particularly occurring in the service fields, some restaurants as well. But it's mainly home service customers, home service businesses that, have customers that, still need service, that are going to be able to be passed on to the buyer. So, let's say HVAC business, for example, they're still, even though the owner's retiring, they still have customers that need to be serviced. So they're able to pass on that business.
So they're selling that business. That's and then, all right, that's cool. And then restaurants are another one that.
Yeah, restaurants, never going to go away. People always have to eat.
Exactly. I don't know how artificial intelligence works with restaurants yet, but I'm sure.
So I actually saw something that was very interesting. It was called It was a robot bar, and it was a robotic arm that was making drinks.
Wow.
Yeah, who knows? I heard something about 3D printing food now as well. Who knows?
Bizarre. That's crazy. So, and now the people that are is a lot of your business guys that are retiring and new guys that are taking over that.
Absolutely. Yeah, we still have. A good amount of people that are, just holding on to the reins, especially some more of your namesake businesses, the ones that are maybe been around for the family for generations. Yep. They're still, they have their pride and they're holding on to their business, and as they should, they worked hard for their business their whole lives. But we have a strong wave of entrepreneurs that are, millennial, some and some either, millennials. And we also have some of the new ones, Gen Z, is it? So we've been seeing a lot of people coming, hey, I have the money now. I've worked my whole life so far for this money. It's their life savings in many cases. And they're taking that risk and they're putting it down on a business. And, I'm very, very happy and honored that I'm able to be a part of that.
It's good. I love to see young guys start businesses. I was a younger guy once, and I started a business, and I think that that's the way to do it. It's much different than the traditional 9 to 5, but I think there's a lot to offer, and I think as long as the business owners are going in the business for the right reason, I think that they'll succeed. It's they have to realize it's not just a get rich quick fix. It's like there's a lot of long hours, a lot to do, but I think that at the end of the day, if they understand that and they, want to be able to provide for their families, that's a great way to go about it.
Absolutely, and people shouldn't be afraid to take that jump into business ownership, because especially when you're acquiring when you're starting a new business, it's different than acquiring an existing business. When you're starting a new business, there's obviously a lot of startup risk. You don't have any customers probably. You don't have, maybe all the trucks that you need, all the equipment that you need. When you have an existing business that you're acquiring, you already have that name. You already have the customer book. You already have the equipment that you need. It's ready to go. So, at that point, you really just got to get off and start doing it. And, a lot of the times for businesses, especially when you start talking about, businesses that are around $1 million, something like that, you already have a management team in place. So when you're acquiring a business that already has a management team in place, you're already off to the races. You're making money from day one.
It's two different types of people, I think. The people that start businesses and the people that buy existing businesses.
That's a good point.
I think it's two different entrepreneurs. Like within entrepreneur, everybody throws out the word entrepreneur, but I think there's two dynamic entrepreneurs. The person that's looking that is buying an established business is a little bit different than that scrappy guy.
The trailblazer.
Like I look at it like, and again, like I said to you earlier, I have a couple of non-competes non-disclosures out there to look at other people's businesses to take over. I think as more people are looking to retire, you're going to see this come up more and more. And I look at some of the numbers and I look at the books and I say, what would it take for me to just do this on my own? Like what am I buying here?
Right.
So and again, I think the difference comes in the recurring world. In the recurring world, like the home services, the HVAC customer you're just speaking of, he's got recurring business. I have if you've listened, there's been a couple power washers on the site. Tom Jarrah, shout out to Tom Jarrah and to Jimmy Keegan, but I told Tom when he was on, I said, you have a recurring business, and you got to make sure you understand that, because you have people that every year are going to get their house washed. If you did my house this year and you did a nice job, you're going to do it again next year and the year after, because once you didn't do it for 1 year as a homeowner, you're not going to go back. Oh, let me go power wash the house. You're going to call. You're going to call someone. So the home services is great for that, because they have that recurring line of work, and then it's just trying to understand what that multiple is on the sales price. Because when they're selling it, the owner wants us
fair price,
and the new buyer wants to come in and try to get the best price, right?
Of course. And so it's great that you bring that up. So at TD Bank, we also do assist with business valuations. So we have we have the one that we can do up front, which is free. So, if anyone wants a free business valuation, they can reach out to me anytime. Whether they're looking to sell their business or buy a business, we could help them do that. It's very easy. Basically, I send them a link, and then they just need some tax returns. And as long as they have the tax returns, they can fill in the information, and it'll give them a solid 20-page report with a business enterprise value. And what we have after that is, that's the free version. And then we also have the paid version, which is the third-party one, when we go out, and that's a full comprehensive report. It's like 100 pages.
Wow.
And that does an industry-wide comp search, and it's more in depth. So we have both versions available, but it's good to mention. If anybody listening to this.
Again, another service I didn't even realize you did.
Yeah.
That's cool, because I think a lot of people don't know what that multiple is. And there's people that from the old days, it's 2 times revenue. Now more people are going off of cash flow. And I think it depends on the business too.
It does.
Look at I own multiple businesses. I have one business, my marketing company, Wingman, that it's an easy entry. If you want to start a marketing company, you can start selling and building websites and offering marketing services. I also own a transportation company where you need vehicles, and there's capital costs, and the structure of both of those businesses. So if they had the same revenue, their values are very different. And one company has 13 assets it owns that,
right.
But on the other side is it also has a much higher barrier to entry. You need more licensing and insurances than a marketing company. Marketing company, you get a brand new laptop, and you could be doing marketing. I mean, when I started, I started 15 years ago, and it's not too far from that story. I started, and I just started offering services, and as we've gotten bigger, we taken on, we bought a building, and we have a second building. But so our cost structure is different than 15 years ago. But at the same time, it's very easy to jump into marketing. Again, I think the hardest part with marketing is know what you're doing. Like as the marketing company, that you'll be able to offer the services that these guys need. And I think that's why a lot of marketing companies fail. It's not because it's hard to get into. It's not because they have to carry a huge debt service. It's just they don't know what they're doing. And that's why they fail. But it's just interesting when you look at valuations of what something is worth, and what something is worth to the individual is even different too. There's some people that are in the business of any kind of business, and they're like, well, that's worth it, regardless of what the tax return says.
Mm-hmm.
They know it's worth it because if you have the customer base. A lot of time, the hardest part is getting the customer base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting customers is, always one of my hardest things as a banker. Is in my job, I have to, constantly seek out new clients. My job is to, make money for the bank. And part of that is always be closing, ABC, right? So, when I have, to your point, when you're seeking clients, whether it's for the bank or for any small business, I think it starts with relationships. It starts with being a good person, doing what's right by other people, and, putting yourself out there.
I think that if you have integrity and do the right thing, that's the best marketing that you can have. Like, again, I run a lot of paid search for companies. I do a lot of internet advertising. I do social ads. But if you have a good customer base and you have integrity and you do your work with pride, I think that that's the best customer service out there. And again, it's about building those relationships and finding like-minded people because, again, you might not know this guy, but through this guy, you know that.
Right.
And then, again, if you're in that circle of like-minded people, you'll start to, find more of those. They kind of all find each other. It's interesting how it happens, and it's
how we found each other.
And it doesn't happen overnight. Exactly, it's how we found each other, but it doesn't happen overnight. So I want the entrepreneurs and the business guys, anybody is in this business to business world to realize it doesn't happen overnight, but it's very. It just starts to happen, and you start to find people that are like-minded. I know through this podcast, through different marketing and networking events I go to, as well as just meeting people. You just start to find those like-minded people, and they start to kind of flock together. And it's pretty cool to see it happen. Again, I met you through Facebook or something like that. You came to my office, we chatted, we talked, we know some people in common. Now you're on the podcast. I think that's great. I think that's the way to keep. And I see that you. I don't know. I saw your Facebook. Or I saw your comments on it. You also know another guy who was on the podcast, JT. You know JT Hazlett. So
you do.
JT, JT and I have a long relationship. We've known each other for probably 6 or 7 years, and he's been on the podcast. And I love what he's doing. I'm so proud of him. The Hazlett Realty Group. In full disclosure, they are clients of mine, but JT just, every day, just, I love what he's doing. I think
he puts his best foot forward every day.
He puts his best, and he's taken on this social media challenge, and he's just posting, and he's had some great videos, and I wish him nothing but success. And he comes from good stock. His father's a great guy. He's been a client, a friend. His father found me, sold my last 2 places, bought me 2 places. So he's been around. They're a good family, but I'm great to see what he's doing, and I'm glad that you're connected with him because he's a good guy to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're actually family friends. So,
look at that.
Our fathers are friends, and we're just naturally connected.
That's even better. So good thing I said something nice about his dad, huh?
Absolutely.
You can tell your dad that. So that's great. Good people. Good people there. Brick boys. So did you grow up in Brick?
Yeah, Brick, born and raised.
Oh, cool. Did you go to high school with JT?
I went to Memorial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's cool. So give us a preview of what 2024 has from how you see it in the banking world, how you see what's going on with the rates, what's going on with business acquisitions, what's going on with these boomers that are retiring by the masses. Give us your outlook.
So per TD Economics, they're saying, that they're going to be looking at what the Fed is saying and, in layman's terms with a grain of salt. The Fed is saying that they're anticipating rate cuts in 2024. However, as many people who follow economics know, that historically, any time that the Fed has pivoted from hikes to decreases, it has caused a recession. So, with that being said, are they going to forcefully impose a recession on the American people? We'll find out. Historically, it's played out every time. So what we're looking at here is a rough landing for 2024.
Okay.
We're gonna see, stagnant inflation. Hopefully, it's come to an ease, which it appears it has.
Which is great.
Right.
That part is great.
Right.
Because it's been a strain on a lot of people. I don't know if you know this, but we do a toy drive every year, and we do a food drive.
Great job this year.
And thank you. In our food drive, we've never delivered so many pounds of food, turkeys. We did a 257 turkey meals. So we gave it. We don't just give a turkey. So we give a turkey plus all the sides that go with it. So the year before we did 142. So you could just put that in perspective.
Yeah.
The need has just increased. And
right.
The
with demand.
the food, or with the toys rather. Last year in 2022 we gave out 5,500 toys. This year we gave out over 10,600 toys.
Wow.
So the need is just there, and again, our job is to try to help as many nonprofits and organizations to help their people. But I see that, and again, that starts with the inflation. I see that, and when I speak to the food banks, they tell me that it's just higher and there's just that much more demand. So I'm happy that the inflation is easing, and hopefully that will help more people get back to a solid footing and solid ground.
Well, I don't know if you saw, a lot of people follow the Home Alone Christmas shopping list.
Okay.
And I shared it on my Facebook. The Home Alone Christmas shopping list, when he went out to buy food for himself, has increased over 270% since it aired just 30 years ago.
30 years ago, and it's up 270%.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm. So it's like we were saying, the food costs are not the only thing. Just to buy a car now, it costs $30,000 just to buy a decent car. Utility costs are sky high. Insurance costs are going sky high. Every year, my insurance company is raising my rates.
Mm-hmm.
It's just every year, it's just more and more and more. And honestly, salaries haven't really kept up. Not only has my own salary. I mean, I get a good 1% a year. What's 1% when inflation's 8%? It's rough out there for any working class person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a banker, and I know there's many people out there that have similar sentiments as I do, that feel like maybe I should go buy a business, right? Like, why am I still in banking when I need to go maybe make some more money myself?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's all about having that servant feeling when you're sitting here and you're serving other people and helping them grow their business and helping them get to that next point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in it for the money for myself. At this point, the money is irrelevant to me. At this point, it's about helping my friends get to that next point in their lives, helping them get out of poverty, helping other people get out of poverty. That's really why I do it.
Mm-hmm.
I get even emotional just thinking about it. It's really about helping people. That's why I do what I do.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you're a different kind of guest, because you're helping business owners succeed. Compared to a lot of guys that have been on the podcast, they are business owners. So I'm hoping that you get some inquiries from people that watch the podcast or the YouTube, so that you can explain to them about how they can get in, if they're in business, how they could expand. If they're not in business yet, how you can get them into business. And I think it's great, unique perspective on. So I want you to, as we wrap up, I want you to give everybody your website and how they can find you on social media, and plug your phone number, since you work for a bank, so it's not like if they go to the bank, it's just as easy to catch you, get in touch with you. So if you would do the bank website, social medias, and then your phone number, so that people can get in contact with you.
Sure. So if anybody wants to get in contact with me, you can reach me at my cell phone. My cell phone 609-515-6576.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, again, that's 609-515-6576. You could also email me at Tyler, Tyler, Griffin, Griffin, at td.com. Again, that's tyler.griffin at td.com. If you want to browse any of the services that TD Bank offers, you could visit TD Bank at just www.tdbank.com. And if you want to add me on my socials, you could find me on LinkedIn or Facebook. It's Tyler Griffin on Facebook, and you'll see that I'm connected with Tom, so you'll see us as mutual friends. And on LinkedIn, it's Tyler R. Griffin, and you'll see me right there as Vice President at TD Bank.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on today. Happy New Year, and I hope
you.
it's a great year for you.
Thank you, brother. You
Thank
as well.
you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet.